Well, thank you for making the time to speak to us. We really appreciate that. I'm sure you've been really busy canvassing and running around everywhere, just uh, getting to reach as many people as possible. We sort of wanted to reach out on like a student perspective, from some of the stuff that I sent over to you in my initial email. But just sort of to like kick off, is like on housing and accommodation. I'm sure you're aware a lot of our students move out into the local area, so Egham and Englefield Green, after their first year of study, and quickly find that like the housing market in these areas can be extremely expensive. The quality of these housings is not up to standard, and oftentimes it's quite exploitative for students to be renting in these areas. So we just want to know what you will be doing should you be elected to secure better rights for students, tenants, and holding landlords and estate agents to account.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. And yeah, go back to your first point. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you. And yeah, the campaigning has been a bit difficult. Got some blisters on my knuckles from knocking on all those doors. But yeah, that is what it is. With regard to housing, it is a sad situation in Egham with the Royal Holloway University and its housing accommodation. As I understand from speaking to residents in Egham, the university is expanding its premises and getting more students involved, but they haven't put any regard to housing or accommodation. So you end up with this situation where landlords, they can take advantage of students because there isn't anyone else there looking for houses. The majority of the need is for students. So what can I do as an independent councillor or MP candidate? My stance is purely community first. It's got to be driven by the community. I think that, from the people I've spoken to, the general feel is that there should be a responsibility on the universities to provide at least some sort of housing facilities. You're looking at, going by the conversations I've had, looking at a number, it seems to be about fair is 35%. I think if they can satisfy 35% of their need in-house, then I think that would alleviate a lot of the pressure when it comes to the external markets. If you look at a map of the Egham constituency and you look at where the student accommodation lies, you've got roads in this constituency that are 100% student accommodation. It's absolutely taken over by the students. And with that comes all these problems when it comes to landlords looking after their houses. I can completely appreciate that. You probably have a broken window and you'd be waiting 2 months for someone to fix it, or the fridge is broken and no one really cares. So yeah, I agree. These issues need to be addressed, and landlords need to be held accountable, as well as agencies, renting agencies, they also need to be held accountable. But we can't forget the responsibility of the university. They also bear a responsibility because if it wasn't for the university, they wouldn't be bringing extra bodies in, and there wouldn't be a need for more housing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I think more so my question is sort of focused on how you'll sort of secure like better quality housing for not because this is something that affects not only students but also local residents who are renting within the area. How are you going to secure better quality housing and affordable housing within the constituency?
Well, that's very interesting. So we're delving into definitions now, and we're talking about achieving a decent standard. I know that Runnymede Borough Council has their own definition of what a decent standard a house would be, an acceptable place to live. Maybe that's something that you as university students need to get together and and express what would be decent, what would you consider to be decent. And then once you've got that definition on the table, it gives us something to work with and campaign for.
Mm. Okay, thank you. And sort of a bit of a sort of segue into funding and fees. I'm sure you're aware there is a cost of living crisis that is raging rampant, and this is significantly impacting people. But particularly, this impact has been felt on our students, with many students picking up part-time employment just to be able to afford to eat and rent. And don't get me wrong, like students have been working in part-time jobs. For a long amount of time, but it's skyrocketed through the roof. And you've got students who spend more time working than they do studying, and this obviously has an impact on their succession, on their progression throughout their degree, but also like their grades and things like that. So we just want to see, like, how do you plan to make education accessible for everyone, and people within your constituency? And what are your thoughts around the fact that maintenance loans haven't risen in line with inflation since 2020, 2021, despite the fact that we have a cost of living crisis? And do you have a solution to the funding model and the pressures felt by UK universities?
Well, I think that these loans, it's like more like a personal loan, really. It's your maintenance loan, right? And I think they should increase. It only makes sense that the cost of living increases. It makes sense to increase the loan to if you maintain that standard. No other answer would make sense with that. Do I have a model? A definitive answer? I mean, you have to appreciate that I'm an independent. So what that means in the world of politics is that I would be an influencer. I wouldn't be put in charge of building these sorts of policies, but I would be a voice to say, yes, this is right, or no, this isn't sitting well with me for whatever reason. Unfortunately, I don't have all the answers, but like I say, I don't have where that money is going to come from. I can't tell you, but is it necessary? Yes, I can tell you that it is necessary. There's a need for this to be implemented. So yeah, I would agree with that, and I would support it. And if there was an idea put on the table, we'd have to weigh that particular idea on its merits. But yeah, if it supports our goals, then yeah, that's what I would support. I would vote for that.
Thank you, Michael. It's really reassuring to hear like you're willing to support the fact that, maintenance loans haven't risen in line with inflation when they really should be. I think that's really reassuring to hear as a student, especially just considering how hard it is to be a student at the moment. I think Alistair will sort of segue into our next conversation topic, which will be on the LGBT community.
Yeah,
Sorry, I don't mean to hijack that bit there. Just before we touch on that, I just wanted to talk about the student fees as well, because you mentioned the maintenance loans, but student fees is something to me that I don't really like. I don't really like the idea of paying for education. If it was down to me, education would be free. There are models out there which supply free education. How we would adopt that into our society, no idea. But what I can say is that we should be giving people options. So instead of, the Conservatives came out with the idea of, what was it, like a conscription style type thing that they wanted to put forward. What if instead of something like that, you had the option to pay for your uni fees or your student fees in either money or in time? Money, pay for it in pounds or in service to the actual community, using the talents that you've learned in university for the betterment of society. That's an option that I think is valid and should be put on the table at least.
Thank you, Michael. I'm just conscious of time, so I'm gonna try and make sure that we get through all of the conversation topics. So I'm just gonna hand over to Alistair.
Yeah, and it's a useful segue because you talked about that aspect of, not making the decisions entirely, but being that influencer. And it's important, where you stand on issues or where you support issues, because, if you were to be elected, the representative MP for students, it'll be useful to know your sort of opinions or support around different areas. And it segues well into the next question, which is around the LGBT community, which students have raised. So in recent years, our students have consistently raised that it feels like the United Kingdom is becoming an increasingly hostile environment for queer students, with the current government and even Prime Minister making comments and policies that are harmful for the LGBT community. So if you are elected, how will you stand up for the LGBT community, secure better support for trans students at university, and make the area and the country safer for the LGBT community as a whole?
Thank you. Well, again, it comes back to the fact that I'm an independent. So my modus operandum, if you will, would be and has to be community first. It's community driven. So when you're talking about politics and you go into national politics with larger parties, these people have to subscribe to party politics, and what they're told to do might not be what their constituents want, essentially. But, they would have to toe the line. With regard to LGBT, what I would want is I'd want to be more involved. So there would be more inclusion. How can I sit back and say, I'll do X, Y, and Z when I don't know if that's actually going to help them. I really want to do a workshop with the LGBTQ community that is specifically in Royal Holloway University, and see, what would they like, and that's something I would support. I don't want to do outrageous things to try and entice people to vote for me. I'd rather do the best thing for the community, if you know what I mean.
No, I do understand in terms of like wanting to get that feedback and those voices in first before you're able to sort of like have those conversations and having those workshops, having those discussions and getting that insight and really understanding what is the need of those communities is really important. But yeah, thank you for that. We're sort of going to go on to sort of support, particularly touching on like mental health and well-being. So Alistair, if you want to discuss.
Yeah, so the next question is around support and mental well-being at university. So just for some statistics, mental health issues are highly prevalent amongst students, and mental health conditions reported by students are actually 7 times higher than they were 10 years ago. A 2022 survey by Student Minds highlighted that 57% of respondents self-reported a mental health issue, and 27% of students stated they had a diagnosed mental health condition. Nationally, on average, 1/3 of university students drop out because of mental health issues. So in light of these statistics and the issues and the crisis, really, 3 questions around: do you think enough is being done in mental health and wellbeing services in education? Do you think the government should do more to support or enable universities to better support their students' well-being? And is there anything you can promise Royal Holloway students if you were to be elected for the local area?
Okay. Thank you again. Do I think enough is being done to support people with mental health issues that are students? No, clearly not, because if there was, then there wouldn't be a demonstrable trend. There wouldn't be 7 times more mental health issues reported. So yeah, that's an obvious one there. Do I think the government can do more to support that? Yes, definitely. I think the government can do more to support that. What specifically should they be doing to support them? Again, it comes down to the community engagement. Yes, there's safeguarding that you should be putting in place. There's obvious things that we should be putting in, but for a more tailored, more personal response, not to the question, but response to the problem. it would be better if we had some more data, some more community engagement on that. That would help a lot more when formulating these responses. And what can I promise the students of Royal Holloway? I promise you that you'll be heard. If you have an issue, please engage with me and talk to me. My contact details are out there. They're online. I've got a website, an email address. I've even put my phone number out online. So my details are all there. You're welcome to contact me with any issues or any questions that you have, and I'll do my best to come back to you. If I don't know the answer, I'll say, look, I don't know, but I will come back to you. And yeah, that's what I can promise the students of Royal Holloway. You'll have a voice.
Do you think there's anything in your ability to do this that makes you unique because of your independent status and you're not party political and bound to a party like that? Is there anything around being independent that strengthens your proposal to be MP?
Definitely. It's wow. Here we go. Brace yourself. I'm a firm believer in democracy. And I think democracy has been watered down somewhat by party politics. I think a more primitive style of democracy, where your represented official played more of a representative official, but also more of an administrative role in lodging your complaints and being firsthand with that. So the difference that sets me aside from the competitors being parties is that I'm not driven by party politics. So no matter what situation that befalls in front of me, it would always be, the response I'm going to give you is always going to be community first. If you cut me, I would bleed Runnymede and Weybridge, basically. So I don't know what they would bleed, but that's what I would bleed. But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it definitely does. Very funny as well. Thank you.
I think that really reassures, like, sort of standing up for the community and what the community wants instead of, what parties may have on an agenda. And sort of as a final question, we're sort of moving on to access to education. I'm like, obviously, a university degree is like a really key aspect about unlocking future potential, unlocking future career prospects. And it's really important that like barriers to education are broken down. So should you be elected, what are the sorts of things that you'll be doing to ensure that a university degree is accessible as possible, and any thoughts on alternative pathways into university and how we can make sure everyone's getting that that opportunity to unlock their potential?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said earlier, if it was down to me, education would be free for everyone. I really racked my brain around the idea of the options thing, and I think that is a seriously good idea, and I think that lots more people would be able to go to university if they have the option to pay for those fees in time and skills instead of in money. I don't know what you guys are studying, but I could ask you, would you prefer to pay for your courses in time, let's say, through some community service other than through money? It's an option. It's a question we'd all have to face individually, but people like to have these options. And, regarding other ways in which we can get people to come into university, I don't know how many other ways we can do it other than people not needing, but people being interested in coming to university and going to an open day, speaking to, one of the lecturers. And, I once, I went to an open day at a college, and I didn't have the qualifications for the particular course that I was there for, and I showed an interest. I spoke to the lecturer, and through connecting with him, the man actually offered me a seat in his class. He offered me a position. I didn't earn it. It was just through him talking to me and him saying, yeah, you'd be a good addition to my class. Come and join. If we had some more freedom in that regard for the teachers, maybe that's another way of getting more people to come into university. It's about creating the want. We have the need is there. We need education, but it's creating the want inside people to actually go and take up that mantle. So
Yeah.
I'd welcome any ideas on that.
100%. And I think there is that bit around sort of inspiring young people, but also like people perhaps from all walks of life, people who may have gone out to work and then come back and then decided, oh, I want to go back to study. It's about really reigniting that passion for learning and that passion for academia. So yeah, that was really great and really reassuring to hear, Michael. And that is sort of pretty much all the questions that we had for you. Do you have any questions for us about students or anything that you might want to discuss further?
Yeah. How can I engage with you more?
I mean, you can
do
shoot.
you have any? Do you have any public engagement with Royal Holloway University, with let's say the residents of Egham, for example? Is there, because there is a residents association for Egham. Do they communicate with you? Are you guys on good terms?
Yes. So we meet with the Runnymede consultative group, and I think the Residents Association is a part of that, including Surrey Police, some local councillors and the university, and student union members sit on that as well. And we had some really positive conversations recently. So yeah, I feel like we do have that platform to sort of discuss with the local community about, what are the things that need to be worked towards and things like that. I don't know if you've
Yeah, our president, so we're both vice president positions, education, and I'm societies and sport. But our president, Hannah, I think, met with that group yesterday afternoon, or possibly the day before, so it's very good. Being told it was very productive as well, and there was a lot of discussions around the local community and party and issues like that. The university, I believe also, because we're a separate body with the Students' Union, I believe the university also has channels that they reach out with the local residents.
Yeah.
And then we have our officers, we have emails and contact paths. We also have our CEO, and residents do contact us and get engaged with any issues or questions they've got as well. So there are those channels of communication. Formally, it's that consultancy group, and then direct one-to-ones with the university and the Students' Union separately, and the officers, the elected ones like us. But we love engaging with the local community. We love Egham.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, the Residents Association of Egham reached out to me not too long ago to arrange some hustings in your area, and I believe that they will be arranged for next week. So it might be worthwhile speaking to Hannah, your president, and having a chat with her and asking her if she would find out about the hustings. Possibly you'd be able to get invited or attend. It might be a good experience.
Yeah.
At a minimum, we could definitely promote it to any students. It's a bit of an awkward position. We'd normally hold hustings like on campus or have more involved things, but at the moment, term time's over and a lot of students have left the area to return home for the holidays. But we still have a lot of students there, and we could definitely promote these hustings with them or see if we can get involved.
I think it's a really good opportunity for them to ask the questions that they need, and everyone who's sort of running will be in the same room. So we'll definitely promote it on our end. But yeah, and maybe we'll even pop down ourselves as well. But yeah.
Awesome. I'll see you there.
Yeah, I love it. Well, it was really great talking to you, Michael. Thank you so much again for your time, and for all of your responses to our questions. It was really insightful. But yeah, I think that's it. That's it from us. Yeah.
Thank you, Alex and Sharon. It's been a pleasure speaking to you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Hopefully I'll see you at the hustings.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.